All right, today we're going to talk about Google's wild ride. You know how it went from being just a simple search box to this global giant, all powered by one massive idea: artificial intelligence. We're going to dig into how that pivot happened and what it really means for us. Let's get into it. To really get a sense of just how far Google has come, you have to go back in time. We're talking 1999. The internet is, well, it's still a baby. And Google's founders, they actually offered to sell the whole thing to Excite, which was a huge deal back then, for just 750 grand. And Excite said, nope. It's got to be one of the biggest what-ifs in tech history. And it's right there that our story really kicks off. So how did Google go from being the startup that nobody wanted to, well, a name everybody knows? Let's jump back to the very beginning, to a little research project at Stanford where it all started. And man, when you look at this timeline, the speed is just staggering. It all starts in '96 with a project weirdly named Backrub. Just 2 years later, it's an actual company operating out of a garage. By 2004, it goes public with its IPO and becomes a Wall Street giant. And then with Chrome in 2008, Google wasn't just a place you went on the web. It was becoming the door to the web. So what was the secret sauce? What was fueling all this crazy growth? It was this really clear, really powerful mission: to organize all the information in the world and make it available to everyone. It was such a simple promise, and in the chaos of the early internet, it really resonated with people and built this incredible foundation of trust. But, after a decade of just crushing it in search and mobile, Google's top brass saw something new on the horizon. And this wasn't going to be some small tweak. Nope. This was a complete, fundamental shift in how the entire company thought about itself. And there it is, the one sentence that changed absolutely everything. In 2016, the CEO, Sundar Pichai, basically announced a new era. He said the age of mobile first was done. The future was AI first. So what in the world does that actually mean? This slide really breaks it down nicely. Mobile first was all about access. Getting information onto your phone no matter where you were. But AI first, that's about assistance. It's about turning that phone, and pretty much every other gadget, into a smart helper that doesn't just show you information, but actually understands what you're doing and helps you get through your day. Now, it's one thing to say you're AI first. It's a whole other thing to actually build it. And this huge strategic change meant a brand new set of priorities for everyone at the company. And this pivot hit every single part of Google. We're talking a massive, massive new focus on machine learning, big bets on new platforms like VR, supercharging search to be more of an assistant, and building out these huge cloud services for businesses. It was a total top-to-bottom reinvention of what Google was all about. So, to put it simply, this AI-first world is a place where technology just kind of fades into the background. The computer isn't this thing you carry in your pocket anymore. It becomes this ambient, intelligent helper that's always there helping you get things done. That's the world Google is trying to build. But building that ambitious future created a very, very messy present. As Google's AI got more and more powerful, it walked right into a super complex and controversial new territory. What some people have started calling the border wars between the digital world and real life. Okay, so the first big problem is this tidal wave of what people are calling slop, which is just low quality, sometimes totally nonsensical stuff generated by AI that's flooding the internet. We're talking about AI written articles that are just plain wrong, bizarre AI images clogging up search results, just spammy junk everywhere. The very tool that was supposed to organize information is now being used to create total chaos, making it way harder to figure out what's real. And all that AI-generated content has kicked off these huge debates about who's in control, right? If an AI is creating and ranking information, who gets to decide what's true or what's harmful? This has led to some critics talking about a censorship industrial complex, arguing that governments and big tech companies are working together to control what we see, giving them this immense power over online speech. And then, of course, there's the big one: privacy. That intelligent assistant is designed to be always on, always listening, always learning. And that's raised some really serious concerns about how much personal data is being collected. Critics have compared it to turning our own homes into a digital panopticon, like a prison where you can be watched at any time without even knowing it, and our data is the price we pay. This whole shift is also changing the internet itself. We're kind of drifting away from the open internet we all grew up with, that huge web of sites you could just browse freely. Instead, we're moving towards a gated web, where AI assistants and closed platforms just give you the answer directly, keeping you inside their walls. It's a real challenge to that open, accessible internet that Google first set out to index. Which brings us to the core conflict in Google's story today. You have to ask, has the mission changed from just organizing the world's information to actually controlling it? I mean, when you put Google's original ideals right next to its current reality, the contrast is pretty stark. How do you square the motto, "Don't be evil," with major scandals at the company? Can you really say you're just organizing information when courts are literally calling you a monopoly? And what does universal access even mean when you're facing massive antitrust lawsuits and billions in fines from both the US and Europe? And that leaves us with, honestly, one of the most important questions of our time. Google's pivot to AI has unleashed some unbelievable technology. But as that intelligence gets smarter and smarter, the biggest challenge isn't about the tech anymore. It's about us. Who gets to write the rules for this new AI-first world?